everybody, Derek here for the weekly news recap for the 16th? The 22nd? Fuck. Definitely the 22nd. What was Monday? 16th. Yes, 16th to the 22nd of January 2023. Okay, let's jump into it. So, in our updates, we had Game Science put out this kind of funny stop motion video animation thing for their game Black Myth Wukong. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's quite long, but you should because it's pretty funny. You have this rabbit who gets Black Myth Wukong back in who knows when because he has this computer that must be 1,000,000 years old. And he has to go through a bunch of rigmarole to get it to work. He has to go get a new PC and a bunch of other stuff. It's pretty funny. But the actual answer, or the eventual reason for this video is that Black Myth Wukong has been delayed to 2024. So I did put in my video when we were looking at our 2023 videos, when we were looking at the 2023 games, it was Black Myth. We haven't heard a whole lot about this game in a while. And this is the latest news is that it's been delayed. Probably COVID, as usual. That's the typical reason why games have been delayed for the last while. But anyway, you should watch the video. It's pretty funny. Moving on, Sony, with the ramp up to the PSVR 2 coming out soon, have announced that. I'm gonna check something. Is my mic on? Yes, it is. Okay. Anyway, actually, is the music playing? Yes. Okay. I should probably have checked all these things. Anyway, Sony have shown off what the launch window lineup for the PSVR 2 is going to be. So there's a ton of games here. I think it's 30-ish games that are being announced for the launch window. Now remember, the launch window stretches like 3 months, so you not necessarily expect all of these games to be out exactly on February 22nd, but a lot of them will be. So we'll go through a few of them like really quickly. Before Your Eyes is a like narrative adventure kind of thing, but its quirk is that you have to blink to move the story forward. Which I imagine the speedrun of that game is pretty funny. It's just like just blinking constantly to get through the game. Anyway, but it has like gotten a good bit of praise for its narrative. Kayak VR Mirage is exactly what you think it is. You are in a kayak and you do kayak things, basically. Pavlov, first-person shooter. Puzzling Places is like a 3D jigsaw thing. Song of the Smoke is a survival game. It's like a first-person survival game. It has a really like painterly type art style. Synth Riders. I have no idea. It sounds like it's a first-person motorbike Tron-like thing, I think. Kluge, well, it's very close to being Clunge Interactive, is excited to announce that a remastered Synth Riders is delivering the best version. What is the game, though? To ride the rails, impact obstacle feedback. Okay, so it's like a Twitch movement thing? I don't know. Thumper. Fucking Thumper. Okay, so Thumper is responsible for both the platinum I am most proud of and the platinum I am least proud of in the same sentence. So Thumper is a rhythm. I think they called it a rhythm boss fight game or rhythm beat 'em up or something like that. But the deal is you're on a single track. It's a single button rhythm game, and it is extremely hard. And that is why I am both proud that I have the platinum for it, because this game is really fucking hard. And also not proud of it because I got incredibly angry at this game. I don't think I've ever been so angry in my life. Anyway, NFL Pro, first person NFL. What the Bat? Slapstick comedy from the people behind the anti-golfing game. What the Golf? Okay, What the Golf is hilarious. So hopefully What the Bat will be much the same. Rez Infinite. Rez is it's kind of like a shmup, I guess, but set to like really good music. That's really doing it a massive disservice, because Rez is a very good game. Tetris Effect, much the same. I'm going to do this a huge disservice. It's Tetris, but it's like really, really good Tetris. I don't know how else to describe it. Creed: Rise to Glory is first person punching. The Last Clockwinder is like a puzzly adventure-y type thing. And then they don't bother going with the rest of them. Anyway, there's tons of them. I think a lot of them are just we hadn't announced them before and now we're announcing them. Yeah, I think that's it. Those couple of ones I went through before hadn't been announced that they were going to be on PSVR 2, and now they are. And the rest of them have come out before. If you want to go through the whole list, you can check it out there. I will be... I'm not sure what day. What day is February 22nd? Hang on. What day is February 22nd? Why aren't you going to February 2? Okay, thank you. It's a Wednesday. Okay, yeah, I should be able to stream it then. I will attempt to stream my PSVR 2 stuff. I need to figure out how exactly it will work with my setup. Audio-wise, I might have to stream it from the PS5, which isn't great because the audio isn't amazing, but I might have to do it that way. Just to get it to work. We'll see what the setup will have to be. I'll figure it out. It might not be on the day. Google Stadia shut down. Who's surprised? Nobody. Moving on. The Epic Games free game this week is called Epistory Typing Chronicles. It's a kind of isometric adventure game, but the whole gist of the game is every interaction is with your keyboard typing. You have to type what you want to do. If you want to investigate an item, you gotta type it out. If you want to attack an enemy, you gotta type it out, and so on. It's an interesting concept. Moving on, new releases for this week. So, there's a couple of games we saw there that you'll be able to play in a while, but what if you wanted to play something right now? Well, Fire Emblem Engage was launched this week, where you play as the Pepsi Man, anime Pepsi Man. You have to find all these rings. These rings all have connections to Fire Emblem heroes from previous games, where you combine your powers with theirs and, you know, help save the kingdom or something like that. Yes, that's the gist of it. Then we have A Space for the Unbound, which was on my 2023 video. This is a slice of life adventure game from I think it's an Indonesian developer. It has an interesting cultural thing that I have not been exposed to before, which is kind of why I'm interested to see what it's like. You know, if it's like the daily life of, you know, young Indonesian people. That would be something I'd be interested to see. Of course, there is, you know, supernatural shenanigans going on as well, so there is that element to it. I believe your friend has some kind of supernatural abilities, time shifting and that kind of thing. We'll check it out. Unfortunately, though, it is now time to talk about the worst parts of the video game industry. So, Ubisoft, following on from all of the cancelled games that they did last week, the shareholders meeting, that kind of thing. It turns out the employees weren't particularly happy with that. They were like, why are you cancelling games if you want to be making money? Why are you laying off people and then telling us to work better and stuff like that? So they were pretty angry about the whole, the ball is in your court to turn Ubisoft's fortunes around, and they're like, no, it isn't. You're the fucking CEO. It's in your court, dickhead. That's kind of the gist of it. So Ubisoft have delayed a bunch of games following weaker than expected software sales. They're also planning to make 200 million in cost cuts, which means firing people. Yves Guillemot reportedly told staff the onus is on them to deliver on its latest targets and reverse the company's fortunes. That's the whole the ball is in your court thing that he said. And on the footing of that, Solidaires Informatique, it's a French Ubisoft Paris union, called on workers to stage a half-day strike on Friday, January 27th. That's not a Friday. They mean the 27th? Because the 27th is not a Friday. Yes, it is. Ignore me. For some reason, I thought the 25th is a Friday. Okay, never mind. That's next week. According to Guillemot, the ball is in our court, but the money stays in his pocket. If the request to employees to be especially careful and strategic with your spending is ironic considering the company's editorial strategy of the last few years, it is not funny. When Mr. Gmo speaks of attrition and organized adjustments, it means staff reductions, discrete studio closures, salary cuts, and disguised layoffs. On several occasions, Mr. Gmo is trying to shift the blame onto the employees. He expects us to be mobilized, to give it our all, to be as efficient and lean as possible. These words mean something. Overtime, managerial pressure, burnout, etc. Mr. Gmo asks a lot from his employees, but without any compensation. So that is the union's position, is that fuck you, basically. You put the company in this position, you fix it. Solidaires Informatique has also issued a list of 4 demands to Ubisoft. They want a 10% increase for all salaries to compensate for inflation. Remember, if your salary doesn't go up in line with inflation, you have taken a pay cut. They want to institute a 4-day week. They want transparency on the evolution of the workforce, which is like hirings and that kind of thing. Who's gotten moved around, who's been promoted, who's been demoted, who's been let go. They want like transparency on that. And a condemnation of abusive managerial policies, which is crunch, overtime, being shitheads, that kind of thing. Remember, Ubisoft still haven't really addressed their sexual harassment issues at their company either. They've just kind of moved people around, not unlike the Catholic Church. Anyway, moving on. But we're still sticking with Ubisoft. Ubisoft devs grill boss on shifting blame and chasing trends. So after the call for the union strike for next week, Yves Guillemot had a Q&A with the company. It's debatable if it was on the foot of that, since it was literally the next day. Typically, these things take a little while to arrange. It might have been just on the footing of the cancellations and stuff like that. But anyway, company-wide QA session Wednesday this week. He told employees the ball is in your court to help get the $3 billion company back on track. That was part of the cancellation letter. So some questions that were posed in the Q&A. He says, the ball is now in our court. For years it has been in your court. So why did you mishandle the ball so badly that we, the workers, have to fix it for you? That was one question. Woof. He answered it, I guess, by not really answering it. I heard your feedback. Yes, lessons were learned, etc. I heard your feedback. I'm sorry this was perceived that way. He's not sorry about what he said. He's sorry about the reaction, which is not being sorry. These are weaselly words. You gotta look out for them. More than ever, I need your talent and energy to turn things around. How about you step down, Eve? How about you step down? Anyway, the hour-long affair was filled with industry buzzwords, business jargon, and light on specifics. Big shock. Chief Financial Officer said they needed to reduce costs and increase productivity, like every company does. Even when they're doing well, they still need to do that. Like, that's nothing. That's the same thing. And the Chief People Officer, Chief HR, I guess, rejected a recent proposal for a 4-day week and said requested raises to keep up with inflation were off the table amid the current financial struggles. So they're cutting your pay. They're happy to cut your pay, and they have no intention of engaging with the union on these matters. Another question was, it appears that management is out of touch with games, saying that we need to adapt to an evolving industry. Why are we chasing trends instead of setting them? This was mostly to do with Ubisoft's latest things on fucking NFT shit, partnering with Google Stadia when it was clear nothing was going to go with that company. They've been racing to ship multiple free-to-play spin-offs of their various franchises. They have like 6 fucking Battle Royale games in development at the time. I don't think they do anymore. 2 were released and no one ever heard of them. Hyperscape, Roller Champions. I vaguely remember Hyperscape being released. Roller Champions I did not hear of, but I don't has anyone heard of them since? I'm assuming they're dead games. Anyway, Gmo spoke of doubling down on Ubisoft's core franchises like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and the Tom Clancy games, even though he cancelled a bunch of Tom Clancy games in that last thing. A lot of the developers and employees at Ubisoft see this as a retreat, not just from chasing trends, which they would prefer, but it's also a retreat from experimenting at all. So they're not happy about that. Ubisoft used to be kind of experimental with a lot of their games. Just go back like 15 years in Ubisoft. Go back before Assassin's Creed, basically, and you'll see that they were very experimental. Not all of them worked. Most of them didn't, to be fair. But they at least tried. Now they're just, no, we will make literally the same game and just change the title over and over again. Anyway. Alright, perennial shithead Activision is back in the industry bullshit. Does it ever leave? Have I done a single week where Activision wasn't in the industry bullshit segment. Anyway, Activision Blizzard blames NetEase for lack of Chinese partnership extension. So this is on footing of, you may recall, back in November, there was an article where one of the NetEase higher-ups was like, the Activision Chinese representative is being a jerk, and we hope that the actual background information of what's happening and what led to the collapse of the partnership comes to light, because this guy was an absolute shithead. This is effectively the Activision side of things 3 months later. NetEase has been forced to largely disband its team of people working on Activision Blizzard games in China, so you have to recall that Chinese government requires a local company to handle any of the local business effectively, so it can't be handled by a foreign agency. So NetEase was handling that for Activision for World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Overwatch, that kind of thing. Activision Blizzard has claimed it offered a 6-month extension to NetEase while it spent time looking for a new long-term partner. Would you take that deal? 6 months? When you were in business for 14 years? Something's gone wrong there, and knowingly that they're going to look for somebody else. Like, that is their plan. What I would probably have said is, you should probably had found somebody by now, if you were going to. It is a pity that NetEase is not willing to extend services of our games for another 6 months on the basis of existing terms as we look for a new partner. You know what else is a pity? You ending a 14-year partnership. They're not willing to extend a 14-year contract that they've had going. Anyway, NetEase declined to comment because they've already commented back in November. They worked hard to negotiate with Activision Blizzard, but had found the company's terms unacceptable. As a result, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Hearthstone, Diablo 3, Hearts of the Storm, and StarCraft will all be unplayable from Monday? Tomorrow, basically, in China. And last year, as I mentioned, a senior figure at NetEase publicly criticized the actions of an unnamed jerk for the breakdown in relationship between his company and Activision Blizzard. I am curious what the actual translation of what he said is. Does it actually translate to jerk, or does it translate to something else? Anyway, moving on. But we're still sticking with, well, okay, not quite Activision, but sorta with Activision. Anyway, Microsoft criticized for Bethesda Xbox layoffs amid Activision Blizzard and merger attempt. So this is coming off news that Microsoft are letting about 10,000 people go. 10,000 jobs are being cut, and a sizable number of them are coming from Bethesda and Xbox. Bethesda were only acquired, like, still fairly recently, and yet the jobs are going. And not only that, they need to cut the jobs for money reasons, but they have the money to acquire Activision? What's going to happen to those Activision employees? Is their job gonna be safe, etc., etc.? Microsoft's being sharply criticized after the company announced 10,000 job cuts, including Bethesda and Xbox layoffs, while fighting tooth and nail to acquire Activision Blizzard. So it's like, well, how do you have the money for one but not the money for the other? And why pick one over the other, etc.? The layoffs at 343, is the Halo developer, shouldn't have happened, and Halo Infinite should be in a better state. This is coming from former Halo designer Patrick Wren. The reason for both of these things is incompetent leadership, as it always is, up top during Halo Infinite development, causing massive stress on those working hard to make Halo the best it can be. So the layoffs are effectively affecting the wrong people. You know, it should be going to management, upper level people. It never does. It never fucking does. Anyway, others have pointed out the irony of the company announcing mass layoffs exactly a year after it announced its controversial acquisition of Activision. But yeah, that's kind of all that is. It's just people raging about Microsoft's priorities, and their priorities is not their current employees. It would seem. Okay. Crystal Dynamics confirms end of Marvel's Avengers later this year. Developer said it will publish its final update on March. So, this was kind of, sort of assumed would happen because Square Enix sold off Crystal Dynamics. And Square Enix were sort of fronting the money for the Marvel Avengers game. So this was kind of felt this was coming, because the Embracer Group have no interest in live services at the moment. And the Embracer Group owns Crystal Dynamics. So this was kind of expected. However, this is like the 5th, 6th, maybe, live service attached to Square Enix that's been cancelled just like within the year, or within the last 12 months, we'll say. In a blog post, they mentioned that the final update will be on the end of March 2023, and then we'll end all official support in September of 2023. After September, single and multiplayer gameplay will be still available, but any of the live service things, the real money shop, that kind of thing, will all be gone. Sorry, there is a bot in the channel. Let me just deal with him real quick. Goodbye. Okay, anyway. Along with the end of development, we'll also be turning off the cosmetics marketplace. When update 2.0, credits will no longer be purchasable, and all remaining credit balances will be converted into in-game resources to aid ongoing adventures. You're not getting the money back. It's a lucky bot? I don't think so. All I read was something about promotions. That was it. That's as far as I got, Doom Training. It's lucky that all I did was ban it and not, I don't know, Johnny Mnemonic my way into the internet and beat it up. But yeah, any money you've put into the game isn't coming back out. It's just going to be converted into shit money. I mean, it's all shit money. But this one in particular is even more shit money because you can't even buy anything with it. Anyway, speaking of their real money shop and cosmetics and all that jazz, Marvel's Avengers fans soar about Thor skin without helmet. Okay, so this has got to be the stupidest Malibu Stacy, but it's got a new hat fucking shit happening. Anyway, they've released a skin for Thor's character that is based off the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it doesn't have his helmet. Okay, is that a big deal? Not really. However, Marvel's Avengers has already released a Marvel Cinematic Universe inspired Thor with a helmet, and this is being sold separately for a relatively substantial amount of money. There's a skin with the helmet, there's a skin without the helmet. You have to buy them both separately. Jesus Christ. On his own, helmetless MCU Thor costs around $15, for fuck's sake. Or you can get him for $5 if you already own the helmeted version. That is $5 to take a helmet off. Come on. Come on. What are you doing? This is such shit live service bullshit. Anyway. Alright, last thing we're going to look at for dumb stuff. Last of Us original co-director unhappy over HBO show's credit snub, and he's now like, we need a union, but he didn't want a union when he was fucking making his developers crunch. Suddenly, once it affects him, oh no, I need a union now. So, Bruce Straley was co-director of the PS3 version of The Last of Us. Fuck. Has The Last of Us done a GTA 5 and has been on PS3, PS4, and PS5 now at this point? Anyway, isn't happy about his lack of credit in the HBO adaptation. His not being credited in the show has him thinking about unionization efforts within the game. Is only now that it affects him personally does he decide to think about unionization efforts. It's an argument for unionization that someone who was part of the co-creation of that world and those characters isn't getting a credit or a nickel for the work they put into it. Maybe we need unions in the video game industry to be able to protect creators. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe you do, shithead. Maybe you shouldn't be making people crunch so ridiculous. Maybe you shouldn't be keeping people off the credits for your game. Etc. Like Amy Hennig. Naughty Dog has also been the subject of crunch accusations over the years. So this is like, he's only annoyed about the whole union thing, or about the credit snub, because it affects him. That's it. That's all it is. It's so selfish. Anyway. Moving on. Alright, to kind of calm my own angry blood right now, we'll look at some dumb stuff. So NetEase, as part of this whole spat with Activision, have publicly torn down the World of Warcraft statue that they had at their studio. So there is a video of them doing it here. You know, they just go through how they're ripping down this giant axe they have on their studio platform. Or studio lot, rather. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's dumb that they had it in the first place, but it's also just funny as a kind of fuck you to Activision. We're just gonna tear down this stupid thing that we built. Anyway, I don't know, it's stupid. That's why it's in dumb stuff, I guess. And one other thing. So this is a service I didn't know about before, but has recently been brought to my attention because they've added Elden Ring to it. So this is LostGamer.io. Is a fan-run thing, and it is essentially GeoGuessr, but for video game maps. And you can jump into this thing, and it'll be like, "Hey, where in Elden Ring are you?" And they have a couple of different games. We'll just go through this. 5 rounds is a bit much. Okay, never mind. We'll do 5 rounds. Yes, countdown, please, when you're ready. Thinking about it. Okay, we're in. All right, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego in Elden Ring? Okay, well, we're in Caelid. I know that much. There is the tower in Caelid. Okay, there's the one that's near Limgrave. So we are... There's the tower in Limgrave. So this is this. I think this tower is pretty far over on this side. How close is it though? It's not all the way over here, I don't think. I think it's here. Is it this? Is it this tower? I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess it's this. It's probably not. I actually think it's probably a bit closer to Limgrave. It must be closer to Limgrave. I can't think of any tower that's near that though. That's in view, and that is like northeast. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong tower. That's northwest. So yeah, northwest. Yeah, okay, it might be here actually. Yeah, okay. I don't see the bridge though, is what's throwing me off. Alright, anyway, I'm gonna click here. It's gonna be wrong, but I'm gonna click here. Yeah, it's fucking miles away. Okay. I did this last night, and they were like actually really recognizable places, and now it's throwing me these like, where is this? Okay. All right, this is where you meet the NPC who owns the fort. I forget his name. You can't see the castle here though. Oh, kinda. Okay, you can see a castle. So it's in Limgrave, which is this block. You can see the castle on the hill, which is northeast or just east. Okay, that's not that castle then. That must be something else. I think it's here. Nope. Complete other side. Alright. This one's not going well. I just did really well yesterday, and I'm doing fucking shit now. Alright, we're in Liurnia of the Lakes. Okay. We're in Liurnia of the Lakes. There's Liurnia. There's the church. So the actual castle is like directly to our west. So here's Liurnia. Looks like it's the church. We're pretty close there. We're like here, somewhere. I was pretty close on that one. Okay, we're on the other side of the church. All right, fair enough. Oh, Jesus Christ, where is this? I have no fucking clue where this one is. Alright. Alright, there's Gottfried's castle. Or Godric's castle, rather. I haven't a breeze, honestly. Okay. If the castle is north... Alright, I think we're down here. Where exactly, I don't know. I think we're down here somewhere. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna need to move on because this is going on too long. Alright, I was in kind of the right area. Anyway. You know, I thought I was gonna do well on this. This is why I clicked into it, but they've really screwed me over with these choices. Alright, there's the castle again. So it's west. See these graves, these rows of graves, there's loads of them all over Limgrave, so it could be in any of those. Here. Fuck it, I don't know. It wasn't far off. Anyway. Right, I did shit. I did slightly better than average. Okay, great. Anyway. Right. We'll leave Fire Emblem to play in the background. Anyway, that was the news for the 16th to 22nd of January 2023. Black Myth Wukong being delayed is probably not surprising, considering we hadn't heard anything about it up until now, basically. It had been a while. The PSVR 2 games has their launch window all set. There's a couple of games I'm interested in, but not many, which is a bit disappointing. I was kind of hoping there'd be more ports from like PC VR games, but I'm not seeing too many of them. Guess we'll see more as it comes out. RIP Google Stadia, if anybody cares. I don't, certainly. Crystal Dynamics cancelling Marvel's Avengers is sort of expected. Since Square Enix sold them off, and as I said, Square Enix were fronting the money for that, so... You know, it was expected it would happen, but that's, again, another live service associated with Square Enix has disappeared within the last 12 months, which isn't good. It's not good for them, especially if they're planning on doing these platforms going forward. If they're going into their NFT shit and expect people to trust them with it, not gonna happen. Activision and NetEase, while it won't really affect us exactly, but it does... Us, I say, it won't affect me because I'm not in China, and I don't play any of those games, but still, it just kind of highlights Activision are kind of closing shop, probably waiting for Microsoft to buy them, and are burning bridges along the way. I think it will be funny if they have to go back to NetEase, if the Microsoft acquisition doesn't go through. Because the EU have already said that, or they've hinted that they're probably not going to agree, that there's going to be some kind of antitrust thing going on there, so that's going to be drawn out, at least in the EU. We don't yet know in the US. They've allegedly extracted some concessions from them, but I guess we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Anyway. That was the news for this week, but what was happening on the channel? So, skip ahead. Channel. Okay, so this is how first 6 months of 2023 are planned out. The green ticks are games that have appeared and we are done with. The yellow dots are games that are currently in progress on the channel. The grey clocks are games that are on their way. So they'll be streamed soon-ish. And if there isn't a symbol on it, it'll be up soon. Or not soon. It'll be up at some point in the next 6 months. So, we finished the excavation of Hobbs Barrow this week. I had thought that we would get 2 more streams out of it, but we only got 1 more. It's a good game. It's a good point and click adventure. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the characters. And the setting is kind of interesting. You know, it's interesting in how mundane it is. You know, you just wouldn't typically see a Victorian England rural village as the setting for a video game. It sounds very boring, you know, so you wouldn't typically expect that. But I think it was well done. It's well written. Personally, wasn't a big fan of the ending, but I won't say any more about that. You can check out the stream if you want to see more about it. But yeah, personally wasn't a big fan of the ending, but I enjoyed the game overall. And we also finished Dead Space, the original Dead Space, and it still holds up really well, my opinion. Still had a good bit of fun with it. There are some annoyances, and there are some archaic game design things going on there, like turret sections and, you know, on rails sections and stuff like that are a bit very PS3. More or less. Dead Space 2 has kind of a similar idea. There's a lot of quick time events and shit. But overall, it still works really well. The atmosphere is still very good. Sound design is excellent. I think the weapon progression system is a bit mean. I just think it feels mean that you are having to commit resources to it and you don't get anything out of it for a bit. I guess you could argue... I guess it's a kind of a visualization thing, because you could see, like, okay, so you need power nodes to upgrade your weapons in Dead Space. Power nodes are pretty expensive. And the idea is you would slot power nodes into different areas on this grid, and the grid would be like extra damage, extra reload speed, more capacity in the weapon and stuff like that. But there are also nodes that have nothing in them. And you need to bridge nodes together in order to access them. So you can't just put them in different places. You need to sort of draw a line with all these nodes. I think it just visually, it's just showing what I think a lot of other games do. It's like, you need 1 node to upgrade this thing, but once you've upgraded it, now you need 2 nodes. You know, it's just visualizing that in the 2 nodes situation, 1 node gets you nothing. You know, it has to be 2. I guess it's just a visualization just makes it obvious that you get nothing for the first node. I don't know. It could just be a UI thing, and it would have been fixed if they just said, no, you need 2 power nodes for this now. You need 3 power nodes for whatever, etc. Anyway. Otherwise, yeah, it was a very good game, and we are all caught up now for the Dead Space remake. That will be out next week, next Friday. I will not be playing it immediately because I do need to get started on some other things. What are those some other things? So, starting on Monday, tomorrow, we are going to be playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. So we're going to go back to Foley Plays Resident Evil, where I am attempting to play through the entire Resident Evil series. So we have already played the original Resident Evil 1 and the original Resident Evil 2, and my intention was to just go through them in chronological release order. But because Resident Evil 4 Remake was announced, and we have the release date for it, I'm not going to manage to get through Nemesis, Code Veronica, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, all the way up, etc. I'm not going to have time to get through all of those in time for it, and I do want to play the Resident Evil 4 Remake when it comes out, because I really like the game. So in light of that, I'm going to jump to the new timeline, and we're going to do the Resident Evil 2 Remake on Monday, and on Saturday. It's possible that will end up being a 3-streamer, probably, I would think. But once that is done, we'll move into the Resident Evil 4 Original, and we'll be playing that more or less up until the remake comes out, and then we'll play the remake, and so on. Also, because the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, we didn't have... didn't last 2 streams. I had to come up with another game for Friday, so I started playing The Case of the Golden Idol. You can check out part 1. It's over on the archive channel right now. It's kind of interesting puzzle game. You are sort of presented with a scene, and then there are a bunch of keywords in the scene that you can like access, and then you have to decide using your keywords what happened in the scene. They're almost all murders. It's like who killed who, what are the names of everybody in the scene, how are they related, that kind of thing. it's a lot of Return of the Obra Dinn. There's a lot of that in it. But I'm enjoying it, and it is telling a story all the way through these scenes. It's like set over 40 years, and the interactions of all these people who came across the Golden Idol. And it's like, what happened to them, and stuff like that. So, yeah, part 2 we'll be checking out on Wednesday. I have a feeling it's either the last stream, or there's some wrinkle in that once you've finished all 14 scenarios. Is it 14? 11. It's 11 scenarios. Once you finished all 11 scenarios, there might be a wrinkle in that the game throws something else at you for the next section, but I guess we'll see. And also, we'll be continuing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild forever. Probably because the game is so big. This week, we completed the Vah Ruta Divine Beast. That's the one in the Zora's Domain. And this week, I'll either be moving into the Goron domain, or we'll do something else. We'll do something optional. There are parts of the map you never have to visit as part of the main plot, and I do want to do like as much of the game as possible before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. So I might have to look into what is in some of those map areas, because I have played the game before, but I never finished it. And there's so much in the game that I've almost certainly missed things, like the Master Sword, for instance. I did get the Master Sword, but I don't believe it's actually required for the story. I think you can finish the game without it. Or at least it's in a map area that you wouldn't typically go to as part of the main plot. I'm not sure. I'll still have to look up where exactly it is. But anyway, that is the plan for next week. So Monday and Saturday, we'll be playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. Wednesday, we're finishing the Case of the Golden Idol. Thursday, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We're just continuing with shenanigans in there. Friday, there won't be a stream. I have a work event that I'll be going to. Yay. And on Sunday, we'll be right back around to the weekly news recap. So that's that for this week. Anyway, if you want to catch up on any of the games that were played this week, Dead Space, Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, beginning of Case of the Golden Idol, and so on, you can find that over on the archive channel, youtube.com/DoomTrain5. And if you want to be in the chat for when we start Resident Evil 2 remake, you can do that at the live streaming channel, twitch.tv/DoomTrain5. You can find that there. Right, that's me for Sunday. Have a good rest of your day. See you tomorrow for Resident Evil 2 remake. Thanks Doom Train Inc. for dropping by into the chat. No thanks to that bot who dropped by in the chat. Die in a fire. Right. Bye bye.